So for the 20, 25 years that I've been in education and dealing with earth science has been very much as far as a secondary science, not having the same level of respect, if you want to say, as the other sciences. And we've got changes in next generation science standards and stuff. And discuss this with me today is Kevin Kirschman, Earth Science teacher at Ripon High School in San Joaquin County, California. And Kevin, you're currently, as far as you've been in teaching Earth Science. I think we actually first met in the early '90s when you were teaching in Des Palos, and I was in Tulare, and you were involved with the California Earth Science Teachers Association. So as far as your experience of seeing, as far as the caliber of how Earth Science is fitting in with the high school Earth Science or the high school science sequence.
Now, Earth Science has typically been used as the class where the student who is perceived as not going into the hardcore sciences of chemistry and physics will be placed to get their high school credits. Needed to be some place for the student that was anticipated to not go through that. So they were pretty much pigeonholed right there, and that's what the class was used for. Oftentimes, not a lot of money was put into it. Earth Science is a class that is very conceptual in nature. If you think about it, it pertains to Earth systems and all the things that interact with them in the world for Earth Science. It's hard to take students there and show them. Doing labs in the classroom is very difficult. In a lot of cases, the student would become very disjointed in what they would want to, or what they would be getting out of the course. It's hard to do it. So changes have had to happen for a long time, and that's pretty much is what happened now with the push from the next generation science standards.
As you say, with next generation science standards, one of the things that I noticed as the first drafts started coming out, and you were among a number of people saying this sounds like what you were talking about 20, 25 years ago, was sort of a new emphasis is the relationship between the Earth systems. As far as on that.
Well, nothing exists in the real world in isolation. 28 and a half years ago, when I started teaching, that was pretty much the tail end of where many teachers were trying to bring in the different disciplines as all together in Earth Science, trying to match up even history and geography, English, language, arts, all could be brought in. There isn't anything that can't be brought into Earth Science class. It's in a sense a jack of all trades. It incorporates everything, which for myself, that's part of what makes it so attractive. But the students need, especially today, they need to have the Earth Science class directed in a direction that allows them to bring in what happens in the world in the technology fashion that we have today. We just don't have it happening in the classroom. It's still in too many cases being used as a dumping ground for students that aren't prepared or aren't motivated or aren't going to go on into the high school physics and chemistry later on. But that has to change. Earth Science can really give an open door to all those other science classes, and as a support. In fact, the next generation science standards insists that that happens. Earth Science is required to be integrated into chemistry, into physics, into biology, as it should have been from day one, instead of being isolated into the testing requirements that we've had for so many years.
What I'm finding as I talk to teachers in the teacher science with next generation science standards for high school Earth Science is the much greater emphasis in the area of weather and climate, and that again being driven by the politics of climate change. And I know for you that's been an area that you more on the geology side than the climatology side, and I find with a lot of folks, as far as with you dealing with those that change.
It's new to so many people. There has not been a year on record for going back a ways now that isn't warmer than the one before. It just came out of the news, was it yesterday, I think it was, that they determined that, by golly, last year was on average hotter than the year before and the year before and the year before. So it's getting a lot harder for anyone to claim that, at least in the sense that climate isn't changing. The argument comes into, all right, are humans a cause or a primary mover in this change? That's where the politics comes in, because of the changes that are going to have to be made, well, countrywide, worldwide, that will allow us to deal with change, whether you decide that humans are a primary cause or not. At least we're going to have the ability to respond to it, and rather quickly in some cases at that.
Yeah, definitely. And as you had mentioned, as far as dealing with technology and the increase as far as in the rigor. We'll take a break, and when we come back, we will look as far as some of the instructional methodology of where earth science should be going to integrate technology as far as meeting the some of the intensive next generation science standards, and actually also having the rigor that it can meet up as being a college preparatory lab science for the University of California.